premiere in France today is a film by American director, I hope I pronounce his name right, Jim Jarmusch, is that
Jarmusch,
right?
I think.
Jarmusch, okay. Yeah. His latest film, I hear, is something we can really sink our teeth into.
Yes, indeed. The very alliterative Only Lovers Left Alive is a vampire tale, and a bloody good one. Those of us whose diet is a bit more varied than a daily dose of human blood, we're impressed if a couple make it to their 50th or 60th wedding anniversary. But Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston stars a couple who have been married for centuries, and they manage to keep the romantic spark going. Let's take a look.
1868, her third wedding. You look so young.
Give my regards to that suicidally romantic scoundrel.
You've been pretty lucky in love, if I may say so.
I have what you need, not what I need.
So, Lisa, what's their secret to staying together for so long?
Well, like Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir, they maintain separate residences. He lives in decaying Detroit, and she lives in Tangier. They've had a lot of time to get to know each other over the centuries. They never age, and they actually share many interests besides going for the jugular.
Some people may say, not another vampire story.
Yes, and you could hardly blame them because vampires and zombies are rampant of late in books, on the big screen, on the small screen. But you know what? Jim Jarmusch had this idea ahead of the curve about 8 years ago, but it took him years and years to assemble the funding for a relatively small budget. And in the end, it was European producers from England, France, and Germany who came to the rescue and made it possible to make the film, which was in competition at Cannes last May, and France has always given any movie this director makes a very warm welcome.
And what is it, do you think, about vampires that makes them such good fodder for stories?
That's a good question. Maybe we're jealous of the undead, not so much zombies because they tend to be unattractive and fall apart and stuff. But vampires, they have to be crafty, so that's kind of sexy. They're wily. There even is an intellectual component, I think. And it takes discipline to survive as a vampire. When you're immortal, you got a lot more time to do stuff than, you know, those of us who aren't. And you don't need to do mundane things like go grocery shopping, although, you know, your diet, you're not going to find it on the shelf in the grocery store, which when you think about it, all that time, because you would be in a position to actually wait years, if necessary, for a reservation for a really trendy restaurant.
Now, I guess being a vampire gives a whole new meaning to been there, done that, or been everywhere, done everything.
That's true, and Jarmusch actually has a lot of fun with that. We learned that the protagonists and some of their fellow vampires have actually given historical figures such as Shakespeare and Schubert a little nudge in an artistic direction over the years. And then there's always the subtext about addiction and feeding a nasty habit. We think we know what the ground rules are for being a vampire, and so it's fun to watch them sort of try and get around that. And it's a funny movie, and it's brilliantly cast.
Okay, now, also in French cinemas from today and slated for release in the rest of the world throughout the year is the third film by French director Fred Cavalier, Mea Culpa.
Mea Culpa is a very effective contemporary thriller that takes the building blocks of Hollywood action movies and it turns them into something very, very French. If we look at a snippet, you'll see what I mean. Let's watch.
Now, it does look like you could substitute American, British, Australian actors without too much trouble.
Yes, and that's exactly what happened because this director's first film, Pour Elle, for her, is a prison escape drama which was remade as The Next 3 Days, starring Russell Crowe. Then his next film, it's remake rights, the unusual hostage drama À bout portant, Point Blank, those were sold not once but twice to the U.S. and to South Korea. He knows how to put his characters in peril. And in Mea Culpa, Vincent Landon stars This is an ex-cop who lost his badge 6 years ago after a drunk driving accident. He and his wife divorced, and they share custody of their young son. So when the boy accidentally witnesses a murder, he's suddenly in permanent danger, and the only solution is for Dad to track down and kill the bad guys. Now, his former partner, played by Gilles Lelouch, he's still a cop. He decides to help him take the law into his own hands, which leads to fistfights, a shootout in a packed disco, chase scenes galore, and a nail-biting finale on a speeding train. Now, I see a lot of movies, and there is actually a development in this movie that I did not see coming. Vincent Lindon did a lot of his own stunts, and here's what he had to say about starring in an action movie.
For an actor, it's just great. It's really nice. I felt young again. I was just messing about, really, playing like a child. I had fun with guns, doing the fights, and jumping through windows.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa, for telling us all about Mea Culpa, and remind us the title of the other vampire movie.
Only Lovers Left Alive.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, Lisa. We'll see you again very soon. That's it for our cultural interlude here on Live from Paris. We're going to move on now to sports news.